what example comes to mind when you think of someone who thought their niche was maybe too broad or too specific?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is a fabulous question. Thank you, Cher, first of all. And one of the things, like I just want to say first is that this is one of the biggest issues around niche that comes to my table, I guess I could say. And sometimes when people bring it to me, they don't even realize that that's the problem. Like they don't realize that their niche is too generic or too broad. Sometimes they get actually a little bit scared to niche down, and I have a whole episode on that. Um, and and so oftentimes you just know that something's off or it's not connecting with people, but you don't actually know that it's because it's not specific enough. Maybe you think you're being specific. And so here's a specific example of getting more specific. Um, I had in one of my recent Facebook Live trainings, I had Cassandra, who was one of the community members in my Unforgettable Coaches Facebook group that I was supporting in there. She came and she said she wanted to focus on life transition. She said she wanted to work with people who are stuck, they're unclear, they know they want more, and they need confidence and help and support to get there. And so this whole life transition niche or broader niche category, it is one that I've come across before, right? I've had clients who started off saying that they wanted to help with life transition, and we ended up focusing it in on something like a specific type of life transition in order for people to actually hear them when they were talking about it and connect to themselves. So for example, my client Kathy Cochran, we did a case study interview several episodes back. So her, when we started working together, she knew that she helped people with digestive issues. So like IBS or just like, the foods they were eating kind of were like irritating them, and she helped them kind of get to the bottom of that. But when we first started working together, she was trying to niche down. So she said, okay, I want to help people who are going through transitions. People who are going through transitions and are having these digestive issues as a result. I want to help those people. So that was kind of niching down, right? But it wasn't specific enough, because when you talk about transitions, it's still, I mean, if I'm moving, like, so there's a lot of different types of transitions, right? It could be moving, it could be becoming a mom for the first time, it could be divorce, it could be the death of a loved one, and on and on and on. There's a lot of transitions. And so for this instance, when you say life transition, someone who's moving or who's just becoming a new mom doesn't necessarily equate that back to themselves. They're not like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me. I got to hear what she's saying, right? It's not that way. It's when you say divorce or when you say a new mom or when you say those specific ones and you get more specific, that then suddenly you have people listening up. So I like to use this example of that another past client, Chrissy Wyrot, who I interviewed on another episode of the podcast, something that she had said, which was a fabulous example that I like to just bring to the table when I want to illustrate this. So if you were scrolling through Facebook and someone posted something and it said, "Hey women," and then they had the rest of the post, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm a woman, but like it's 50% of the population. I don't think they're really talking to me. I'm going to keep scrolling. But if they said, "Hey, moms of 3, and you happen to be a mom and you have 3 children, then you'd be like, okay, I want to read the rest of what they're saying because they're talking to me. And that's what we mean by getting as specific as possible so that the people you're talking to know that you're talking to them. And then they listen up. Because when you're getting really broad and generic, nobody listens. And nobody listens because they don't know it's for them. Like we really care about ourselves as humans. Like we listen up when things are about something that matters to us, and ourselves is what matters the most to us. Or, a family member or a relationship or like something in our world that we're struggling with, right? Those are the things we listen up for. So the more targeted you can get to what they're listening for, the more they're going to listen, which means the more they're going to value what it is you do. They're going to want to follow you, and they're going to want to pay for what you do because you're connecting what they're looking for to what you do, right? And so in Kathy's instance, to kind of bring it right back around to Kathy Cochran that I was talking about, that she started out with wanting to do life transition. we realized that the people she really wanted to help were women who had just gone through a divorce, like recent divorced women. And that was a specific transition. And so as soon as she started talking about it that way at networking events, she had people wanting to connect her to other people who were in the divorce niche. Or she had specific women saying, hey, I'm divorced. Can we talk a little bit more about this? Or it kind of like opened a lot of doors and created movement because suddenly she was being specific. And there's more levels you can, I mean, there's always another level of specific you can get as you get to know your people and get to know their words and kind of like what's like deeply what is going on for them, right? But you've got to choose one thing. I have this right now. I am running a group program, a joint group program with two of my biz besties. And we have ladies in the group program who are kind of figuring out what webinar topics they're going to do and what their niche is and what they're like all these pieces. And they're starting off like they keep throwing really general things out there, like when we're kind of honing in and figuring out all this stuff. And it's just like one of the things I just keep telling them is like, how can we make this even more specific? How can we make this even more specific? Like one of the things that comes up a lot with my clients is wanting to keep all these different pieces. So I don't want to focus in on just being, just helping women with digestive issues, because I can also help with weight gain, and I can also help with this other thing. And so then they start saying all those things when they're talking about what they do, and it dilutes the whole thing, and then nobody listens. And that's a huge thing that comes up often. I'm going to kind of like, I want to see, I think I might have an example of that one. I wrote out a couple of examples here. Yeah, I would say that, so, okay, with one of my clients right now, that's exactly what she wants to do. She knows she wants to work with female entrepreneurs who've had trauma in the past, so sexual trauma. She wants to work with these female entrepreneurs to kind of heal that so they can get visible. That's what we came up with when we were working on our one-on-one sessions. But then it kind of keeps getting pulled back from that. She's like, well, but I want to help just with self-care. And I want to help them with burnout, because I think burnout's a big issue that they have, like all this stuff, right? But if you can focus on one specific thing and keep it as specific as possible, then you can make sure that all those little layers are within that category, that niche. And I feel like I'm moving like way on ahead. So I'm going to like pause right here and pass it on back over to you.